Hey, good morning. We're wrestling here with cords. We got a little mix up here. Anyway, good morning. Morning, Bruce.
Hey, how you doing, Rick?
I've done better. I had this thing all set in my ear, and then all of a sudden it went kittywampus. Have you ever heard that word before?
Kittywampus over the... Yeah.
I can't keep this in my ear, Josh. I'm sorry. Hey, good morning from the office. This is Rick and Bruce tuning in here for you. We had a little inauspicious start, if I must say.
Hey.
But we're glad to be here. Brian gave you a little heads up that he was going to be heading up north, heading up to visit family. He's got an ailing parent who he's going to visit. So we're glad to sit in for him here on Thursday from the palatial studios of Fetcher News here in the 13th floor.
The 13th floor.
13th floor.
If you can find that building,
that's
good luck to you.
That's what our private studio is. Welcome to all of you out there, some friends. Hopefully we've got some friends in Atlanta looking on. Ross, my buddy Ross, and maybe...
your friend in Florida?
Yeah, maybe Debbie might be looking in today.
You
and
think
also,
Howard and Judy would be looking?
I don't think so. I think it's 5 o'clock in the morning somewhere.
For Kali. That's way too early.
That's right. But we're glad to be here this morning, taking up a couple hours of your time. We're hopeful that we can be somewhat entertaining, somewhat insightful, somewhat...
Informative.
Informative, yeah, thank you. Help me with the big words this morning.
And controversial at the same time.
Are we going to be controversial?
You never know.
Yeah.
Do we have to do all the contact thing, you know?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea while I get my earpiece in here so I can hear Josh. Yeah. Take him through that, Bruce.
I don't have any even...
Well, there you are, right there. It's
Okay.
So we've got our Twitter account. We've got our YouTube account. We've got the... Well, you said you didn't know.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, 71 degrees here in LJ, 803. Good morning from the office. I hope Brian's not listening because I'd like to take back the first 3 minutes and start over, but you can't.
Hey, tis what it is.
So what's going on? Anything in the news?
Let's see. President Donald J. Trump had a rally last night.
Man, was it a rally.
I missed that. You saw, so you...
We did. My wife and I sat and watched the rally from start to finish and laughed a lot and clapped a lot. A couple of old goons sitting in the family room clapping for the TV. It was raucous, as all of his rallies are.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Greenville, North Carolina.
Not that far away.
No, not that far away at all. He was at the, I don't know how to pronounce it, Minges, Minges Stadium.
I don't know who that's named after.
I don't either. But it was Minges Stadium, I believe, and that's where Eastern Carolina, the Pirates. Isn't that right, Josh? The Pirates?
That's where they play hoops?
Eastern Carolina Pirates. Yeah, Eastern Carolina Pirates play basketball, and the arena holds 8,000 people, and they had to set up ancillary rooms with big screens and stuff because of the overflow. I mean, it's just amazing. I think any one of those candidates that are sitting on the other side, vying for his job, would just love to have 25% of the people that come to his rallies show up.
Yeah, on any given night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Here's what I was laughing at.
And what were the themes?
Yeah. Let me tell you, he was all over the board. But you know what? He has the ability to. Now, granted, he uses the teleprompters.
I heard one report he went way off the teleprompter.
Well, he always goes off message. You can tell when he does.
Yeah.
But I mean, he covered all the ground. He covered, everything.
Economy.
He covered all of the bases of, promises made, promises kept, and talked about. He got specific about North Carolina, and what he said was, since he's been in office, and I mean, this is a staggering number when you think about it. Since he's been in office, he's created 6 million jobs.
Whoa.
And, he came out with, he said, folks, there's only 3
words. Of course,
that'll
be challenged.
Oh, yeah, of course it will. Yeah. Folks, they'll be, they...
Everything he says is challenged.
Right.
Which is ridiculous.
excuse me. And then he got specific with North Carolina. 180,000 jobs created in North Carolina alone, and he said North Carolina is enjoying the best economy that they've ever had.
Best ever.
Best ever.
Who?
Of course, and we're winning. We're winning.
Winning. Are we
Yeah.
tired of winning yet?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You know, one of the things I was laughing at is when I watched it last night, and you know, Brian threw up a couple of slides the other day of him partying in the '80s or something down there, and he had all
the Epstein.
he had all
yeah.
the Buffalo Bills cheerleaders or something. I don't know, but you know, I don't know if the Secret Service stands at the door and go, let's see, oh yeah, you're easy on the eyes, you're going behind Trump. You're easy, okay, you're going behind Trump. Josh, you have the picture of the of that one rally shot with the women to Trump's left, to our right. I mean, what enough said. He has the ability, and they're all holding up signs, "Women for Trump," which is, I mean, it's going to have to be women for Trump if he's going to win again, because that's where he really suffered a little bit, was the kind of the suburban women, don't you think?
So they say. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I don't know if putting people in all these areas in these little boxes. From a pollster's point of view, I understand it, but the reality is, I think a lot of people don't really fit into that demographic all the time. But
Yeah.
The mass media loves to go with that, and of course the polling companies do. So.
Yeah, I really would like to. I'd like to be the guy. I'd like to be the guy that kind of sorts out who's going to sit behind the president.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the people behind him. I don't know if that's they're picked just from the people coming in, by chance or beforehand.
Well, you've got to be able to. You've got to think that they probably have undergone some kind of scrutiny.
You would hope.
You just don't bring them in willy-nilly and not run them through a magnetometer or something.
Well, yeah, show me your sign, too. You never, some nut that has something on the backside.
There was a nut there last night, too, that they...
Oh,
yeah, they jacked him up hard, and of course, the crowd all of a sudden turned to Trump's left, and he finally looked up there, and then the
throw him out.
Yeah, then the camera went up there, and it's some, there's always one in the crowd, but I'm not gonna let's not acknowledge.
Did he talk at all about the trade wars last night? What's going on with China and Mexico, and the trade agreement that is going to be coming up with Mexico and Canada soon?
He always alludes to that because of promises made. We got rid of NAFTA, and the Chinese are suffering the worst economy in 27 years because of tariffs. So I mean, he didn't make reference to it specifically, but he walks around the edges. Why do you ask?
Again, that's coming up, and supposedly that's going to be sort of a
bellwether,
a tougher fight getting the new NAFTA, the USMCA, I think it is.
Why do you think that would be a tough fight?
Because the Democrats want mud thrown on them.
They don't want them to win.
Yeah, exactly. So they're gonna put this thing through the ringer and say, oh, you could have done better here on environment. Oh, you could have done better on political rights. You could have done better on asylum seekers.
Yeah,
it's going to be all that sort of stuff. And even though I think behind closed doors, a lot of Democrats say, yeah, it's an improvement over what we had.
You've got some stuff later that we can touch on about immigration too, don't you?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Speaking of fights, did anybody hear out there that Joe Biden has challenged President Trump to some physicality? I don't know if it's wasn't Biden some kind of a pugilist? Wasn't he a boxer?
I don't have any idea about that, but I know, before he said something about that, he's just a bully and I'd take him up behind the barn and beat the heck out of him.
And now he wants to challenge him to a push-up contest.
Oh.
Yeah. So there was a picture of Trump last night who looked like it looked like he was going to get ready to take on Joe any day. Come on, Joe, watch out for my left
That's maybe
jab.
going back to the pugilist thing. It doesn't look like a push-up stand.
No, it looks like a fist fight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's a great shot.
Hands are a little high, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. You got to cover your middle a little bit more. Go for the ribs, Rocky. Oh, jeez.
So, any other highlights of the rally last night?
Well, you know, it goes without saying that he's going to bring up, as Brian calls them, the Spice Girls.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. You know, you made a good point driving over here this morning, is that, you know, whenever they open their mouth, they just it just seems like they suck the air out of the entire Democrat spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't you wonder, you know, you hear Rush say this is all just perfectly contrived by Trump to get infighting with the Democrats and get them, you know, taking them off message, and who's running the show, who's running, you know, the House really has, there's a piece I didn't get to read this morning. I just looked at Trey Gowdy and the tagline, and it said, the House has really become irrelevant.
And you think the mass of Americans and all these precincts and districts that these Congress people represent, nothing is getting done.
No.
I mean, they're just, supposedly there's 6 committees or subcommittees working on impeachment. Pelosi said this the other day. 6! And, you know, and they had a vote yesterday. They had a vote on Al Green, the guy from Texas, on impeachment.
He's not the one that's saying, "Lady Love."
No.
No.
The other Al.
He looks like the werewolf.
Yeah, he's got a
ever
real
notice
kind of
that?
like a Yasser Arafat look, you know, going.
Got Yasser Arafat look. All he's missing is the towel.
Anyway, the resolution got voted down 392 to 80 or 90 or something like that.
Yeah, it was brutal. I mean, the guy got whacked hard.
Yeah.
Someone ought to look at Al and say, Al, what about all the money that you took out of the slush fund to pay off your sexual encounters?
Oh, him too?
Oh, my goodness. You go back to the 80s, you look Al Green, look at his past history. The guy is a scumbucket. He's amazing. I mean...
And this is the congressman, not the singer, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the singer was pretty
From Texas.
good.
Yeah, the singer was good.
But, jeez. Seriously, look it up. I'm not making this stuff up as I go. I did do the research on Al Green, and he's got all of these sexual trysts and extramarital affairs.
Oh, boy.
A couple of them, he's been sued.
Do we know how many children he has?
I don't, who knows? Who knows?
This would be good in a territory of that guy who played for Kansas City. I think he had 11 children by 11 different women.
You know...
Anyway, I mean, we're getting off topic.
No, really, seriously. I mean, that's a good segue into another piece.
Oh.
My friend Ross sent me a really cool article about one of my favorite guys, Walter E. Williams. And I've done some research and done a little history about Walter E. Williams, who is an economist from George Mason University. But we can talk about that later. Let's go back to the rally, talking about the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
Does anybody out there know who David Webb is? David Webb, you know who David Webb is?
I know who David Webb is.
He's a man of color.
A man of color.
A black gentleman who is a Fox News contributor.
And you know where his color came from? Jamaica. He's from Jamaica.
So is Juan,
Hey.
isn't he?
I don't
So
know.
is Kamala,
Yeah.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all Jamaican.
Mon.
Yeah, exactly. Light up a fatty, man. Anyway,
Don't bogart that joint.
yeah, exactly. We've got David Webb, who came out yesterday on a tweet, and my wife, God love her, is an active tweet person.
A tweetette.
Yeah,
tweetette.
She's the sweetest tweetist. Anyway, and he said, can you guys come up with a good acronym for what they call the squad? You know, an acronym is, what's a good acronym? NASA.
Yeah.
What's,
Yeah, it's the initials, National Aeronautic Space Administration, right? National.
I thought it was National Academy of Staged Aeronautics. Yeah. Are we gonna
Let's
celebrate
go conspiracy folks.
Are we
Here we
gonna
go.
celebrate a moon landing one of these
Deep
days? I
dive,
don't
deep
know.
dive.
National Academy. Anyway, so my darling wife came up with what I think. I mean, there's a picture of the squad. Okay, there's a picture of the
AKA
squad.
the Spice
Yeah.
Girls.
Yeah, the Spice Girls. That's a great. That's a
It's a
great
better picture than most.
Yeah. Josh, do you have the one that we saw this morning that is kind of clever with the blue lettering up there? The Clueless Caucus of Twittering Twits. That's pretty good.
Yeah, TCC.
It's not an
OTT.
acronym. It doesn't spell out squad. So
No.
my wife came up with what I thought was brilliant. And before you put it up, Josh, I want to make sure that we get credit for this at the Fetcher News store.
We want this trademarked.
Yeah, I mean, Rush. If Rush can come out with a T-shirt that says "Stand Up for Betsy Ross," we ought to be able to come out with a T-shirt that talks about an acronym for the squad. Do you have what is being called right now? What we're going to call these ladies? Socialist quacks. Socialist quacks undermining American democracy.
Four
Does that not
ducks.
say it all?
4 ducks.
S-
There you go.
Yeah, SQUAD, squad. Socialist quacks undermining American democracy, which is exactly what they're doing.
Exactly.
I mean, you talk about it's not a misnomer. Would that be a nomer?
that would be a nomer.
Yeah. Anyway,
A no-brain nomer.
I thought that was brilliant. So.
But they do. They whenever they get on the stage, again, responding to whatever, individually or as the squad, they suck all the air out of the room. I mean, the media can't resist covering everything they say, do, da-da-da-da-da-da. And, of course, all of them have baggage. Dare we talk about their baggage?
No. Do you think?
Yeah, well, maybe.
Where do you want to go? Let's talk about excess baggage.
Well, I think the one who sticks up like a real sore thumb is Ilhan Omar.
She's the one with the what do they call
The
it?
headpiece. Yeah. She's the one from Minnesota. She represents a district that's, I think, a suburb of Minneapolis.
Right.
Which is predominantly Somalian immigrants.
District 9, is that right? I don't know.
I'm not sure about the number, but anyway. So she has allegations of...
How many times has she been married, do you think?
Well, they don't know. I mean, she supposedly hasn't been able to locate her husband since 2011.
British citizen, right?
Yes. And, the storyline also goes that she knows no one in his family that she is able to contact to try and, she was married to this guy. I think she had a child with him.
Or 3.
Yeah. And surprisingly, I heard one report that his name came up on some background information on a website that was put together for a friend of hers that's in the UK.
She found it on something called Somali List or something like that.
Yeah. And
It was a dedicated blog site for Somalis.
Yeah, and this guy's name came up in the code, the software code that this website had
Right.
for it. So, a lot of funny stuff there. And rumor is that I'm not sure if it's this guy or there's somebody else. It's her brother that she allegedly, nothing's proven here, folks. Married her brother so he could get into the U.S. under, some of our wide open asylum regulations.
Right. Graduate of North Dakota State. North Dakota
NDSU,
State.
yes.
Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. North Dakota State. I mean, you truly, you cannot make this stuff. She is a U.S. congressperson that, how about we do a blood test or something? Just.
And I think there's some, allegations of misspent funds or frauds or something with campaigns.
Well, she's got. I mean, the
And
IRS.
Tlaib has that too.
Yeah, the IRS is running down her throat because of the way she filed her taxes. Married, filing, I don't know, jointly or separately or something.
Yeah, I think she filed, jointly with several, joints. Anyway. Yeah, it just it makes you a little nuts.
Just a little tip of the iceberg for baggage of Ilhan Omar.
But these four women really just seem to get an undue amount of press coverage. I don't know if the media feels it's because they're young, they have energy, they have a lot of ideas, they're not fitting into the traditional role, which is causing Nancy Pelosi a few issues dealing with the whole situation. But there you go. I mean,
I think Trump is painting a very clear picture, Democrats like it or not, that this is the face of the Democrat Party. And Pelosi was doing such a pullback yesterday. We're not going to go there.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We already are there. So deal with it, Nancy. You've lost control. You have no control of the House anymore. These four quacks, socialist quacks undermining American democracy, are running the House right now.
and Nancy, as they say in Louisiana, is crawfishing. She's backing up as much as she can, as fast as she can.
Yeah.
And
She doesn't, she tries to come out there and, Trump even stuck up for her the other day when they claimed that she was a racist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's their tagline now. All they want to do is they call everybody, when nothing else works, pull the race card, folks. And,
And I got the definition of racism right
all
in
right,
front of me.
Here we go.
The belief that all members of each race possess characteristics or abilities specific to that race, especially so as to distinguish it as inferior or superior to another race or races. So going back to what Trump said, if they don't like it here, they can go back to their countries of origin or their district and make things better there for the people that they either came from or represent. If they do a good job and want to come back and share that, great. If they want to stay, great. So it's really hard to find the seeds of racism in those statements, or in that statement. But you never know it. And like you said before, words now, like racism, misogynist, homophobe, I mean, they're trotted out with regularity. They say it for everything. And there's triggering, there's white privilege. The AOC said something about white supremacy and white privilege. What was it? Something that was said recently. She tied it to that. So everything gets slapped with these statements.
Catch-alls.
Yeah, and it's just disinformation. It's like.
But where is the outrage from the left when she comes out and says the things she does about the Jews? The anti-Semite
Omar
comments.
and Tlaib have been really, really down on the Jews.
And pick those two out. Presley, she's just kind of a throw in there.
Yeah. She's sort of an American progressive.
And AOC, I mean, she's just a bartender that got loose in Congress one day.
Yeah, got elected with 15% of the vote in her district.
Joe Crowley's, they've had him all over the airwaves. They've got, but the two that are the most vocal are, and I'm going to say it, the two that are most vocal are the Muslims, as Ilhan would call them.
Yep, anti-Semite, very anti-Semite.
Yeah, and anti-American, I think.
Well, yeah.
You call it what you want. They're trying to demonize everything that this country stands for, and they're trying to radically change. What was that statement that Obama made when he came into office?
If you like your doctor, you can keep your.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Biden said that too. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I don't want to go off track here.
No, we'll get to him later.
Yeah, but we're going to. I know what it was. We're going to fundamentally change the way this country acts and operates, something to that effect, which is exactly what those two are trying to do. You look at the Quran and they say, here's the 3 steps. If the first 2 don't work, kill them.
Yeah, infidels don't do well in the Quran or the Muslim world. But again, I mean, that's the real crazy ones. They're moderates out there. But the interesting thing, all 4 of these women come from very safe districts. There's no chance that any of these blue districts would go red. So that, I think, gives them the wherewithal or the feeling they have the freedom to just shoot from the hip on everything. And AOC with their Green New Deal, I mean, it has nothing to do with the environment. It's back to your point. I mean, it is designed to change the economic basis of this country.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Exactly. Now, AOC apparently is going to be challenged in Brooklyn.
Yeah, there's going to be a young Jamaican woman.
Cherie Murray. Scherie. I think it's either Sherry or Cherie. I believe it's Cherie. Businesswoman from the AOC district from Jamaica. Very accomplished, and she's going after her. She's going to be a challenger from the Republican side.
Yeah, from Republican side.
So if you've got an extra dollar and you want to spend it on something worthwhile, give it to Cherie Murray.
Now, do you think Juan and Kamala will support Cherie?
That's a great question.
Bonding, with all of the Jamaican brother and
I
sister.
know David Webb will.
I'm guessing he will. I'm more interested in Juan and Kamala.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we've carried on here for a good the better part of a half an hour here talking about the Trump rally, which for all accounts is,
Have you finished yet?
Well, I mean, we could go on and on about that, but I think we're probably.
Well, any other highlights that really stick out or you remember? Or,
Well, the one thing that the media is making big muckety-muck over is when the crowd went into "Send her back" chant.
Oh boy!
Send her back! Send her back!
This was in relation to the 4.
He never said a word. He stepped away from the mic, let them have their few moments, and didn't comment about it. So,
Was there some USA, and lock her up?
Well, there was some of that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Matter of fact,
bases.
when that guy got out of line up in the crowd, they lock him up, and sure that, I mean, I swear to God, they had his hands behind him, and I think they had him cuffed, and they jacked him up going out. So
Was he just shouting things, or did he have a sign?
he had a sign because he did have a sign. I don't know what it said. They didn't give him much camera time. It was probably CNN that put the camera on him, if they were even there. But
They rarely do the camera on them.
Yeah.
They don't like to emphasize that at all.
Right,
left,
right.
or center. I mean, so.
anyway, we again we've carried on here for about 30 minutes, and we'll take a break here in a few minutes. Bruce and I will regroup, figure out where we're going next. Brian does this thing for 2 hours every day. I guess that's why he gets up at 4 in the morning, so that he can peruse the networks.
Yeah, Morning Joe. I mean,
For
did you
good
catch that this morning?
morning bride. Anyway, we're hopeful that they have a good journey to Pennsylvania and spend some time with family. We're glad to be here. We're going to take a break here, and we're going to see some of the sponsors that make this show possible. We obviously wouldn't be here without them. We ask you to please support the sponsors that graciously keep FYN on the airwaves. So, Josh, how about taking us to break?
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment, All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge, we have your new house in stock.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
The summer savings are too hot to touch at Dave's Chevrolet in Jasper. And every Chevy truck has a red hot price, like new Colorado Crew Cabs, over $6,500 off, or new Silverado Crew Cabs, over $11,000 off. You won't find a hotter deal on a new Chevy truck anywhere else in Georgia. The summer savings event going on right now at Dave's Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Dave's Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hey, we're back. We're back. Bruce and Rick here. We're here on a Thursday, taking over the hot seat in the office for Brian, who's traveling today and tomorrow. Tomorrow, normally you'll see us, if you tune in on Fridays, you see us from either Circuit World, a phenomenal sponsor, good people over there. JR, Jamie, and the gang.
And Jeremy.
Jeremy,
Yeah,
yep. Jeremy with his Tennessee hat on, right?
Yeah.
We won't hold that against you,
volunteer
Jeremy.
thing, but, yeah.
That's where we winter. Some people go to Florida. We go to Circuit World. But in the summer and the spring, when the weather's nice, we go over to Sycamore Crossing.
Well, you have to get out of those loungers. You have to get out and sit in the sun. But
I
they
know.
have some nice loungers there if you're in the
Yeah,
market.
I mean, I get down in that stuff at Circle World, and I can barely get out of there. They're so the cushions are so deep and comfortable. But speaking of comfortable, we've got some new chairs over at Sycamore Crossing that we enjoyed for the first time a couple of weeks ago. And tomorrow, Bruce and I will be on set. Tomorrow, again, Brian out of town. Lauren Hunter, who does instant replay on Mondays at 10:10, right here on the right here in this studio with Dave Garner. She will be hosting the show tomorrow, and we've got the regulars. We've got Ask the Doc with Dr. Bill Whaley from the Northside Cancer Institute. Is that right?
Yep.
And then we'll have.
Is he going to be there tomorrow?
He will.
Okay, good.
Doc will be there tomorrow. We'll
But
have.
Jane won't be.
No, Jane will be.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
Change
a
up.
big surprise. Jane will be joining us tomorrow.
okay.
She was scheduled to go out of town on Thursday evening, but just for you and myself,
Et voila.
she will be joining us tomorrow morning on the couch
Good.
at Sycamore Crossing to have another rendition of the All-Star panel. Then, of course, Jesse Barton comes in and talks about senior living
In North Georgia?
in North Georgia. Yep, and then closing out the show will be the star of the show, the pet of the week from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, and Rena will be there hopefully with a furry friend that's looking for a home. So tune in tomorrow if you want to see us again. If you don't, you can always catch us by replay. And how do they catch us by replay, Josh? Show them how they can get a hold of this show. They can put up that, catch us on YouTube. You can tweet to Fetch Your News at FYNTV, or you can get us on Instagram at FYNTV at Fetch Your News. So
If they don't want to see us, why would they go to replay?
well, if they don't want to catch us live, I know they want to see us. Yeah, that's a given, okay?
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not going to disparage you and I after doing all this hard work. It's not really that hard. It's a lot of fun sometimes, but
Indeed.
try to make it relevant. And speaking of relevant, we've got a new
Breaking news. Breaking
a
news.
new contender. Wait, before we go to the contenders, speaking of contenders,
Okay.
this is a big day, isn't it?
It is a big day.
This is a big day. The 18th
Of July.
of July was the big reveal day for the new C8 Chevrolet Corvette.
Yes.
And there it is in
Camo.
camo. That's about the best we can do until later when they have the big official reveal. General Motors and the Chevrolet division of General Motors have been talking how many years about putting a mid-engine car
Ever
on
since
the
the
street.
first one came out.
Yeah.
Ever since 1953. They've been talking about mid-engine. And they've gone through about 8 or 10 models that never made it.
Yeah, 8 or 10 iterations. And finally, and I think they're keeping both the C7, which is the current front engine,
No.
that's going away.
C7 is gone.
It is gone.
It is gone. Front engine, rear drive, gone.
I thought they were
The very last one off the production line auctioned off. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
2.1 million.
Yike!
This is a $70,000, maybe $80,000 car optioned out. The last one made.
Did they say who bought it? What's the guy in North Carolina that owns all the dealerships? That's got the most unbelievable Corvette collection you've ever seen.
You know that better than me. I don't
He's
know.
a NASCAR guy also.
A driver?
No,
Oh,
he's an owner.
owner.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe Josh will come up with that. But how much?
2.1 million.
What's that car going to cost, Bruce? You research this more than I do.
The C8, the new one,
Yeah.
they are
There's a pretty wide disparaging range, right?
No. They
Not
say
disparaging.
the base model on this is probably going to be $5,000 to $7,000 more than the C7, which I think was like
That was $59,000.
yeah, the base model. So yeah, they're thinking high 60s, 70. They say they have to keep it in that area to keep Corvette people coming back.
I think that's going to be popular, don't you?
I think it will be. I mean, again, you got to wait till you really see it in paint and everything. But the spoiler in it looks a little ostentatious, but they're all working on downforce. That's why they have spoilers. So that car is probably going to be in easily the 170 to 185 mile an hour top end speed. Not that you can do it anywhere but a track. So
Josh, the guy in the control room who's always got our back, came up with Rick Hendricks.
Okay.
Rick Hendricks has the most unbelievable Corvette collection that you will ever see in your life. I mean, he's got everything from, convertibles to hardtops to T-tops.
All years?
All years.
Oh, boy.
Every year is represented from 53 on. I was fortunate enough to do some work on a 54 Corvette, second year they were made. And
Was that the red one you were
it was
rebuilding?
actually polo white.
Ah,
Polo white. It was a barn find in Pennsylvania that a friend of mine bought and had absolutely no inclination or ability to turn a wrench. So he said, "If I buy it, will you build it?" And I did, and had a lot of fun with it, much to the chagrin of my wife because it took up a spot in our garage in Chicago during the winter, and she had to park outside, get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and head to school in the morning on those winter days. It was tough. So,
but it was interesting because the Corvette, of course, is a lot of you probably know it's fiberglass, and you had fiberglass, sort of a precursor, building a canoe in your father-in-law's garage.
Did. God, you're resurrecting old memories. Yeah. I worked in a clothing store and
Fabric resin.
That's right, fabric resin, bamboo. Cut the slats. Cut the gunnels. Anyway, that's another story for another day. But this car that we're looking at right now, and it's tough to tell the exact lines because of the white and black camo. They take them around. This car was pictured on the streets of New York, even in this same badge. But it reminds me of a Ferrari 458.
Yeah. The
For those
front light
aficionados,
treatment,
yeah.
looks very identical. Or
And
close to.
the scoop, the scoop in front of the rear wheels.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of mid-engine cars have that side scoop.
You've got a mid-engine car.
I do have a mid-engine car, and they handle fantastically because the weight is so balanced.
The weight distribution is going to be so much better than the front wheel. Even though the Corvette, the C7 was a phenomenally popular.
Oh, very popular. I mean, the Corvette division is one of the most, I think, profitable of the General Motors divisions.
Well, we're spending probably too much time on this, but it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if this is going to come out in the rear wheel or all wheel or whatever kind of drive train configuration, but it will be interesting to see the finished model in.
I got to believe it's all wheel.
I would think, but you never know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So we'll hopefully maybe by tomorrow. We'll get some pictures in red, white, and blue or something. So
Maybe.
during
Maybe
the show
Josh
we
can surprise us that if we find it, we'll send it to him and
Yeah,
we
get it
can
up
show
tomorrow.
the reveal picture tomorrow.
Yep.
Chevrolet came out with a little teaser a couple of days before they showed the steering wheel. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
The configuration of the steering wheel is very
Squared off.
very F1.
Okay.
Formula One looking.
Okay.
It's squared off, and
yeah.
it's got the top is very wide open, so you can see the full instrumentation, and it's got big paddle shifters on it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that car's only going to be offered in
Automatic.
automatic. Yeah.
Yeah, probably double clutch transmission, but no stick for those of you who like to shift it on your own.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, good luck with the Corvette. I think it'll do well. I'm hopeful that. What's your prognostication on the leftover C7s? You think they're gonna plummet in value and then come back?
Hard to say. I mean, because they make a lot of them. It's not like it's a extremely limited production model. So I don't think they'll probably do as well as everyone thinks. I mean, people will get used to this car and the way it handles and looks, and the other ones will kind of be looked at as dinosaurs.
What's going to be interesting is to see what kind of premium the dealers put on the thing.
Yeah.
When it first comes out, you
Yeah.
want to be the first on your block, folks.
Yeah.
Be prepared to probably spend up to 50% premium on the MSRP price of that car.
And just to belabor it some more, folks, they are keeping the Stingray name.
And the look too.
Yeah, they have a sort of a new little logo for the Stingray Corvette, so it should be interesting.
What they call that? Didn't they call that a Scorpion or something like that? Whatever they call it. But,
Well, it's a stylized Stingray, with the arms and the long stinger. So
yeah.
go out and buy one, folks. You can
Go
see
out and
for
buy
yourself.
one, yeah. See if any of our sponsors, Dave Chevrolet and Jasper, see if they're the first one in North Georgia to have one. I think they're probably the largest dealer around. I don't know if Holt is any bigger, but Dave Chevrolet is a sponsor. So if you want a Corvette, go buy a C7 from them at a reduced rate,
C8.
or go get a C8.
Yeah.
But be prepared to
Spend big ones.
to pay premium pricing.
We maybe should get them to roll one into Sycamore Square. Like we could do a segment.
You know what? Fox does that on Fox and Friends in the morning. They always have these car shows out there, and I always just drool to see some of the cars.
Wouldn't it be great to see a C8
Yeah.
that's sitting out there?
That would be very cool. We could do a little.
Josh, get Brian to work on that, would you?
Yeah. I got it. Josh says I got it. I'm on it. Anyway, speaking of new on the block, what about Tom Steyer? Tom Steyer,
Who dat?
the self-professed liberal social activist. There he is there, who's been coming after Trump forever and has been spending millions of dollars on a campaign to impeach Trump.
Yep.
This, folks, is a guy that you really want to research because you just, again, follow the money trail with this guy. I don't know whether he's going to be able to crack the next debate that they have. I don't know if he's going to.
Yeah, I'm not sure timing-wise if he's going to do it. I mean, money-wise, he'll be fine because he's spending his own money.
He's got a
$100 million. He said he's committed to this campaign.
Yeah, he's got a net worth, an advertised net worth of 1 point something billion dollars.
Got a few bucks.
Yeah, left coast liberal, and when you
Lives in California.
Yeah, when you do the research on him, they say that he is probably second only to George Soros in money spent with for candidates that he wants to see in place.
Yeah, he supported a lot of very progressive candidates in the last two election cycles.
Right.
But
And
now
where-
he's going to
and
support
Where
himself.
did he get his dough?
He got his dough. He runs a hedge fund, which I assume he's still active in. Probably hasn't stepped away from that. And I'm not sure exactly what they've invested in. Hedge funds typically, spread their money all around. But rumor has it he's done quite a bit in coal and pipelines.
Peter Schweitzer, who is a brilliant author, I think, and is featured a lot on Hannity, brings him out a lot. Tucker Carlson will feature Peter Schweitzer. He did. Didn't he write the book Clinton Cash?
He did.
Yeah, and then he's got another one out right now, which is basically a follow the money trail, and he does a really, really insightful segment on this guy. And you can even go to YouTube and put Peter Schweitzer, Tom Steyer, coal. When Obama was president, do the research, look it up if you don't believe me. When Obama was president, this guy had a revolving door access to the White House.
This was the Obama who said, any coal company that tries to start up a new business is doomed. Says,
Doomed.
We're going to make it so difficult for you, you don't even want to spend the money.
So what did he do? He had his hedge fund. He was investing on every liberal cause that the Obama administration came up with in an effort to stifle coal. He was doing, and you've all heard this, when I say smash and grab, what you think is, a group of thugs, probably Antifa, I don't know, group of thugs running into a jewelry store with hammers
Yep.
and busting out the glass cases and grabbing all the Rolexes.
And running out with what they can carry.
Exactly, smash and grab. What he was doing is he would do the same thing, but he would do it in a legal way,
A gentlemanly way.
a gentlemanly way. He would go in and
Legal.
pick the bones. You describe it. Pick the bones of.
Yeah, I mean, once Obama came out with this, a lot of the U.S. coal companies' stock prices went down. A few of them went into bankruptcy. There was a fair amount of consolidation in '08 to 2010. And so this guy, having inside knowledge of what Obama was doing, I mean, he visited the White House regularly, would grab these guys when they were like very depressed stock prices. And despite what everyone says, I mean, coal used to be somewhere over 30% of the U.S. energy balance. They're down to, I think, 14% now. So, you know, the coal companies that survived have consolidated and done well. But this guy bought low, and as they've come back up, you know, he's, you know, made money all the way.
Making money hand over fist on someone else's adversity that he had inside knowledge about, having that inside track with the Obama White House.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't adversity that they created themselves. They were politically targeted. Let's remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And what else did he do? What did Obama do about the pipeline? He said, no Keystone Pipeline.
After his State Department had approved it, and then got it kicked back again because politically targeted.
Do the research on this one, folks. You're going to find that Tom Steyer had a huge investment in a competing pipeline to Keystone. And what did that do? As soon as Obama said, we're going to stall the Keystone Pipeline, the value of his investment skyrocketed. And this is all pointed out in Peter Schweitzer's book and the narrative that he did, which is brilliant. I couldn't even try. I mean, I thought, well, you know, do I want to try to play that? No. Just we'll talk about it. We'll get it out there. And the best thing you could do is YouTube it, and you'll see that he was nothing but an opportunist who had declared that he was the world savior to the green energy crisis.
Yeah.
And
Totally concocted.
Need to impeach Trump.
Totally concocted energy crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we can just go a little farther with this. I mean, basically, there is such a hubbub about, you know, electric cars and, you know, alternate renewable energy sources. I mean, still now, renewable energy is 9% of our energy balance. Petroleum is still 37%. Natural gas, which has taken market share from coal and petroleum, is 29%. But to put this all in context, I mean, there's been so much talk about, you know, 12 years, the planet's going to like implode and we're all going to die. We're not going to be able to breathe. Well, just to pop that bubble, in July 12th, there was a new report that was put out by scientists in Finland.
Oh, yeah.
And basically said during the last 100 years, the temperature increased about 0.1 degree centigrade because of carbon dioxide. The human
Say that again. How many years?
100 years.
100 years.
The temperature, the global temperature, has increased about 0.1 degree centigrade. 0.1 degree centigrade because of carbon dioxide. The human contribution to that, again, from this new Finnish research, also done in collaboration with the Japanese, the human contribution was 0.01 degrees centigrade, so almost undetectable.
How about cow farts?
Yeah, they're contributing a lot. So basically, you know, there's been this huge hubbub about anthropogenic global warming caused by man-made emissions. And what this new study has come out and said, that's interesting, but the fact of the matter is that there's other forces at work, solar impact, and something they are calling galactic cosmic rays affects the Earth climate by increasing cloud cover, causing an umbrella effect. So all this talk about us saving the world, you know, while India and China increase their industrial emissions, they put more cars on the road, more emissions. You know, we're cutting back, which economically is going to like be blowing our leg off. Well, it's not going to make one bit of difference. So, you know, gather your children, talk to everybody you know, and say this Green New Deal is, you know, a bunch of fiction, and it's deliberately designed not to do with the climate. It's deliberately designed to like harm the economic system, the capitalist system in this country. And, you know, to chase after that, you do so at your own peril.
Let's get our house in order, folks. Let's get our infrastructure, upgraded. You saw what happened in New York. They had an alleged fire in a transformer, and you know the power outage for 7 million people.
Yeah, that got them squawking, didn't it?
Yeah, and
Yep.
and guess where that power is probably coming from? Probably coming from a coal-fired plant. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. There's not a whole lot of gas-fired plants in New York.
Especially
it's
the East,
cold.
yeah,
There's
the
some
East Coast.
nuclear.
Yeah, but and let me tell you what this translates to. Also, you know, you can take all the progressive movement that you want out there by the squad, and I'm talking about AOC, especially talking about this Green New Deal and how all the progressives are hanging their head on it. If you look at the list of important issues to voters, it is not even on the radar. Climate change.
But the big problem is the parents of children who are getting indoctrinated with this crap in schools.
They come home from school.
And you know, and whinge to their parents, and then like, you know, the parents go, oh, I got to do something, so I can't vote for this guy because he's, you know, for, you know, internal combustion engines, and he's for fossil fuels and all this sort of thing.
And what do? The parents cave.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
because they're friends with their kids. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we will get into that.
I got something on that.
Yeah, good. So do I. And that's exactly what Walter said.
Ah.
It's not. Yeah, I mean the whole piece, the article that he wrote, is let me share the title with you because it'll dovetail right into what you're saying. Today's accepted behavior hasn't always been accepted.
Okay.
And it talks about parenting in here and everything else.
I got
And
something from a teacher, and I got something
Good.
from a millennial. That
You know what? That's a good segue into the second hour. I can't believe an hour's gone already.
Yeah, I mean, we're just rolling here.
Yeah. Well, we spent probably too much time on Corvettes, but that's our passion, right?
Hey, there's some people out there that are going to like that.
Automobile aficionados. Yeah. 1 and 1A. Anyway, Bruce and I are glad to be here. We're filling in for Brian today at the office on the palatial 13th floor of FYN in downtown Ellijay, Georgia. I haven't seen a 13th floor.
I think we should have like a search for that. If someone, you know, they should give them like a box of Chick-fil-A or something if they find it.
Chick-fil-A can be found in Ellijay, Georgia, folks. I wish we'd get one in Blue Ridge. You know, we're surrounded by them. We've got one in Union County. We've got one in Kilmer County. But we need one in Fannin County. Can you work on that, Ms. Mayor? Anyway.
Josh, could you get Brian to work on that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's on it. That was the quickest response I've ever heard when it comes to Chick-fil-A. Anyway, you got to love those folks at Chick-fil-A, even though they only work 6 days a week.
Hey, but they put out a good product and great service.
Exactly. My pleasure to be bringing you that, by the way. That's an inside joke, and those of you who go to Chick-fil-A will catch on. Anyway, we're going to take a break for the cause. Please support the sponsors that support us, and we'll be back in a few, and we're going to talk a little bit about accepted behavior today that wasn't necessarily accepted when we were growing up.
Oh, boy.
We had to walk how many blocks to school, both uphill going both ways?
No, it was downhill coming home, but it was 3 blocks.
Anyway,
two
all right,
blocks.
take us to break, Josh. Thank you.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge, we have your new house in stock.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Better days ahead.
The summer savings are too hot to touch at Dave's Chevrolet in Jasper. And every Chevy truck has a red hot price, like new Colorado Crew Cabs, over $6,500 off, or new Silverado Crew Cabs, over $11,000 off. You won't find a hotter deal on a new Chevy truck anywhere else in Georgia. The summer savings event going on right now at Dave's Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
All righty, we're back. Glad to be back.
We're back.
We are back. You know, you were when we were off for a commercial break. Bruce was sitting on the phone, and I always think about that Chevy Chase thing coming back from Saturday Night Live when he's talking on the phone, and you know, all of a sudden they go live, and he keeps. Oh, sorry, we're back. Nice to see you. Anyway.
I put my phone down earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So we talked about what's generally accepted today versus what hasn't always been accepted. And I was sent a piece by a good friend of ours, Ross in Atlanta. And Ross and I have been fans of this guy, Walter E. Williams, and he always wants to make sure that everybody knows that it's E. Williams, stands for Edward, I believe. Walter E. Williams is he's a man of color, black gentleman, raised in Philly and born in Philly, raised there, and then moved to the left coast. He is a retired economist from George Mason University. Born in 1936, so he's been around the block. And he, you know, some of his claim to fame...
Put him in his 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of his claim to fame has been one of the early hosts on the Rush Limbaugh show.
Really?
When Rush would take off, he would call in, and you know, Ross and I would call each other, Walter's on today. And, you know, sometimes we would miss Rush's show, but we always tried to catch Walter because he really is just so pragmatically insightful on, you know, some of the things that people take for granted, and he always brought a different stroke to it. And the piece that he talked about is it's titled "Today's Accepted Behavior Hasn't Always Been Accepted from the Right." Here's a suggestion. How about setting up some high school rifle clubs? Students would bring their own rifles to school, store them with the team coach, and after classes, they would practice.
Like they used to.
Exactly. And Williams said, you say, Williams, you must be crazy. To prevent gun violence, we must do all we can to keep guns out of the hands of the kids. Fact is that prior to the 60s, many public high schools had shooting clubs in New York City, for instance. Students carried their rifles to school on the subway.
That must have been fun.
And turned them over to homeroom or gym teacher. Rifles were retrieved after school for target practice. Some rural areas across, there was a long tradition of high school students hunting before classes, storing guns in their trunks of their cars and on a rifle rack in their pickup trucks that they drove. Because why? Because they were hunting before school.
Maybe had a dead deer or two in the back. Who knows?
I mean, you know, a lot of people they eat what they kill.
Yeah.
But today, any school principal permitting rifles or allowing rifles on school grounds would be fired and imprisoned. People in what's considered acceptable behavior have changed, and we've talked about this. I know I have for forever, but you just can't say it enough. Violence with guns is just a tiny example of what's changed. What explains a lot of what we see today, and these are Walter E. Williams' words, growing cultural deviancy. Cultural deviance. 29% of white children, 53% of Hispanic, and 73% of black children are born to unmarried women. What does that tell you? The absence of a husband and father figure in the home is a strong contributing factor to the poverty, school failure, crime, drug abuse, emotional disturbance, and a host of all other social problems. By the way, low marriage rate among blacks is relatively new. Census data shows that a slightly higher percentage of black adults had married than white adults from 1890 to 1940.
And what do you think the driver there is? Because they know they're going to get money from the government to raise this child, so there's no reason to be, you know, discriminate in your dating practices.
So culturally, you could say if they download another kid, they're going to make more money.
Yeah.
That's a tough way to put it, but that's fact. In 1954, he graduated from Benjamin Franklin High School, the city's poorest school. During those days, there were no school policemen. Think about that. No school policemen. What do we see now? Today, close to 400 police patrol Philadelphia. In Philly alone, folks, 400 police officers are manning the schools. According to federal education data, 2015-16 school year, 5.8% of the nation's 3.8 million teachers were physically attacked by students. Almost 10% were threatened with injury. Other forms of cultural deviancy are found in the music accepted today that advocates murder, rape, and other vile acts. I mean, you could turn on rap music anytime and you would say, well, this isn't fit.
You see some of the stuff, I mean, these clips from classrooms where your students go up and whack the teacher,
I know.
You know, rip stuff out of their hands, and throw them down, beat them up, and the other kids are sitting there either cheering them or filming it.
Yeah, and what do the parents do? Or the parent, they say, hey, they're yours when they get to school. Baloney, they're not yours.
Yeah, and the kid was triggered. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
It says here, today's society at large pays for irresponsible behavior. Years ago, there was little tolerance for crude behavior and language that are accepted today. Though I guarantee you it wasn't tolerated in your house.
No, I mean, no, absolutely not.
I tell you what, General Conti would crack the whip.
Indeed. And First Lieutenant Dorothy would pass the messages.
Behavioral norms mostly imparted by example. That's what I'm talking about. Example at home. Word of mouth and religious teaching represent a body of wisdom distilled over the ages through experience of trial and error. Police and laws can never replace these restraints on personal conduct. At best, this is really important, at best the police and the criminal justice system are the last desperate line of defense for a civilized society. Today's true tragedy is that most people think what we see today has always been so. As such, today's Americans accept behavior that our parents and grandparents never would have accepted. I mean, I had grandparents that were tough. My grandfather my dad wouldn't put up with anything. I literally can remember as if it were yesterday. Bruce and I only lived a block from each other. And, I'd have to get up the gumption if I called over to Bruce's house. 255-6039, right?
Clearbrook, 56039.
How about that?
Yeah.
I just came up with 255-6039. Dial it. That was the Contis. Anyway, if it was a weekend, I knew that the general was home. And if he was sitting in his office with a telephone, I think right there, as I sit like I'm Lou Conti, right there the telephone. Hello. I go, oh, geez.
Yeah, what do I do?
Why couldn't it have been one of his brothers or sisters? Anyway, Mr. Conti, may I please speak to Bruce? Hold on. Right?
Yeah. Well, it got better when we got the little princess phone in the kitchen. There was only one phone for a long time.
And I'm telling you, and I think we turned out to be pretty decent people. Bruce probably better than me in some ways, in a lot of ways, but whatever.
Same.
Our kids were brought up to respect authority, to believe in God, to respect your teachers, to act civil to people that you knew and even didn't know, right?
Yeah, anybody you came across in life, you basically tried to treat them with the same respect you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Golden rule.
That just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
We've got cowards now that are wearing masks over their faces that are attacking poor defenseless people because they came on their turf. They got in the way.
Yeah.
They maybe look like they support Trump.
They offended me. I don't agree with them.
They dissed me.
Yeah.
Give me a break on the dissing stuff.
Yeah.
And teachers, really, today's teachers, as evidenced by this, are really, really taking the brunt of it. And, to that point, Bruce has got a piece that Where did you find that on?
This was on Facebook. It was something that happened, I think, the end of last year, early this year. It's a story from a kindergarten teacher who was 29 years old who quit. And I would like to read some of the reasons why. Okay, so following up on this.
I mean, truthfully, we didn't stage this. He came up with this. I came up with. I got in the car this morning. I had Walter E. Williams, and I talked about it. Bruce said, "You know, I've got the same thing. It's out there, folks. Things are not the same." Now, granted, you know, we evolve, we move forward, but some of the moral tendencies that we've advocated and acknowledged and accepted have really gone south.
And let me just read from this,
Please.
from Jessica Gentry is the lady's name, and this is particularly poignant for teachers out there. Let me tell you why those who ooze passion for teaching are leaving the occupation like their hair's on fire. The old excuse, kids have changed. No frigging way, her words. Kids are kids. Parenting has changed. Society has changed. The kids are just innocent victims of that. Parents are working crazy hours, consumed by their devices, leaving kids in unstable parenting, co-parenting situations, terrible media influences, and we're going to give them an excuse that the kids have changed? What did we expect them to do? Kids behave in undesirable ways in the environment they feel safest. They test the water in an environment they know their mistakes and behaviors will be treated with kindness and compassion. For those, quote, well-behaved, unquote, kids, they're throwing normal kid tantrums at home because it's safe. The kids flipping tables at schools, they don't have a safe place at home. Our classrooms are the first place they've ever heard no, been given boundaries, shown love through respect. Cue, the kids have changed. And just going on. So instead of holding parents accountable and making them true partners, we've adopted a customer service mindset.
Exactly.
I've seen the Facebook rants about attendance and getting the letter. Well, here's the thing. I can't teach your child if he's not in school. I was cussed out by parents who wanted to attend field trips but missed the 3 notes that went home. And when they did attend a trip, they sat on their phone the entire time. I've had parents stand up to me multiple times on conference days, then call to tattle on me when I refused to offer an after-school option. I've had parents tell me that I'm not allowed to tell their child no.
Exactly.
And it just
I
goes
mean,
on.
I can cite examples of that from my wife, who's a retired educator.
Yeah. And she goes on, she says, my mental and physical health was in jeopardy every single day. Knowing that your kids need and deserve more than they're getting, sitting in one meeting after another, begging for more support, only to be told, don't lose sleep over them. When you love your kids and you're passionate about your mission, the messages tear you apart. So at the end, I mean, she says, my mental health and physical well-being was much more important to me than, going on with this and just auguring myself into the ground.
This isn't isolated, folks. This is pervasive in our school systems now. I mean, we have such a lack of, I don't know how to put it. We have such a lack of decorum sometimes at home. The teachers, like Bruce said, and like this young lady said, they are expected to raise someone else's children.
Yeah, they're expected to become the parent.
Exactly.
And it's not in their job description.
Here's my kid, and then you get some kids. My wife tells a great story about a child that they were getting ready to go on a year-end field trip. And these field trips that they went on, it was private school. They weren't cheap. You snooze, you lose. And said, if you get out of line, you're going to lose your privilege. And by God,
you will be bounced.
Yeah. So this kid said, you can't do that. My parents pay your salary. I control you.
Ooh.
Boink! Off the trip. See you, wouldn't want to be you. That's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what should happen today. You just, you know.
And there was the kid hitchhiking home from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? They've done that too. They put them on an airplane.
Whoa.
Put them on an airplane,
Love
send
it.
them home. They call their parents and say, your kid is going to be at Atlanta Hartsfield Airport at such and such a time. He was thrown off the trip. You deal with it.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way.
That must have been an interesting meeting with the principal.
Let me tell you, well, you get some parents that raise Cain and they pull their kid out of that school because they can't have their own way. Or you know what? They say, maybe I could do a better job in raising my kid and telling them how to act at school.
Yeah, for sure.
I sure wasn't a great kid at school. Let me tell you, I was. We went to Catholic school, and I stood in the corner more times by accident than most people.
But I got knocked down by the nun. I don't think you ever did.
Right, Sister Justice cold-cocked Bruce one day.
Well, I hit her first. It wasn't a hit; it was a touch. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it was a touch.
You don't touch the nuns. Bam!
Anyway, we could go on and on. I know we sound like old fuddy-duds sitting here. This is the way it used to be. Well, by gosh, in a lot of ways, America was a different place years ago and a more civil place. Now there's so much discord, there's so much division, there's so much animosity toward one side or the other.
Yeah, I think with all this communications capability, I mean, these
Instant
computers in our hands,
gratification.
yeah, I mean, there's so much more belief in ways of doing things outside the norms of society. I mean, you this translates, ladies and gentlemen, to what we have at the border. I mean, that you have a whole group of people in this country that believe people coming here illegally is perfectly acceptable. I mean, there's no respect for rule of law. And the things that they would get very upset about if someone impacted their privacy, broke into their home, harmed them or their children, that's against the law. You have to prosecute them. Where are the police? With people walking across our border, in droves, it's perfectly fine.
If it doesn't affect them directly,
yes,
it's perfectly acceptable. If it doesn't impair anything that I do, if it doesn't impede, if it doesn't hurt me, if it doesn't take away my property rights, if it doesn't do economic damage to the community where I live so my home value goes down.
Exactly.
That's why these liberals can sit up there inside the Beltway in Washington and pontificate and say, oh my goodness, where is the outrage on the way you're treating these children that have been yanked away from their parents? Folks, where the heck is the outrage when all of a sudden the left says it's okay to kill a full-term baby that didn't make it through abortion? Where is the outrage? Where's the compassion for those kids that are dying in obstetric rooms, right?
Exactly, and some might call us privileged, white men, but I would say, we're scarred by our experiences, and again, we have a healthy respect for what other people think and do, and again, we have to tolerate a lot. I mean, you think of the world we came from and the world now with all this transgenderism and LGBTQ. I mean, that was all like under the surface before, and some would say wrongly. But again, it was tolerated. People lived. But now you're in each other's face about all this stuff.
I mean, I just don't get it. Someone early on in my career, I talked about. This guy was kind of somewhat of a mentor. He was out there a little bit, but one of the things that I will never forget that he told me was that we have. I said, why do people act the way they do? And he said, a lot of times it's because they have nothing to lose. I think there's always something to be said about that. Yeah, if you subscribe to the rule of law,
yeah,
and you cross the line, you're punished. You've got something to lose, whether you're taken away from your family and put in jail, or whether you lose economically, whatever. But and what he was trying to do is make a case for some of the people that are really down and out. and I say, well, they have a better time going to jail. They get 3 squares
Yeah.
and a warm place to sleep because they had nothing to lose. That's why, they'll tread on society. But I think it's come a long way past that.
And that maybe is an interesting segue for this piece, okay? Just for a little balance. This is, it's titled Thoughts from a Hipster Coffee Shop. It was written by a young lady in Minnesota, Alyssa Algren, early this year. And let me just read some of this. She's sitting in a coffee shop in Minnesota. I scroll through the latest headlines of Democratic candidates calling for practices and policies to fix the so-called injustices of capital, to continue injustice of capital. I see people talking freely, working on their MacBooks, ordering food they get, and it dawned on me. We live in the most privileged time in the most prosperous nation, and we need to have, we have vehicles, food, technology, freedom to associate with whom we choose. And then she goes on and says, our unappreciation of what we have is evident in the socialist policies and comments of Miss Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who recently said to Newsweek, an entire generation, one of the largest electorates in America, came of age and never saw American prosperity. Never saw American prosperity. Let that sink in. When I first read that statement, I thought to myself, this is such an unentitled, factually illiterate thing that I've heard in 26 years on this earth. Now, she says, now let me lay down some universal truths really quick. The United States of America has lifted more people out of problems into freedom and democracy, and has created more innovation in technology and medicine than any other country in the world. But our citizenry continually breaks world records with charitable contributions. Rags to riches stories are not uncommon. We have the strongest purchasing power on the earth. We encompass 25% of the world's GDP. She said, with all this overwhelming evidence around us, how can people continue to make these statements and, young people continue to believe this? So,
Because you know why? They haven't been through a tough time. They've always had cell phones. They've always had fast food. They've always had instant gratification.
Yeah.
They've never gone through a depression.
Right.
They've never, suffered through a world war where there was really, really tough times. Mm-hmm. They haven't even suffered through gas lines like we did in '73.
Yeah.
Where you wonder how you were going to get to work the next day because it was going to take you 4 hours to get a tank of gas.
Yep.
They've never, ever gone through those issues. And here we are again, sitting here like a couple of old farts and saying, we've done it all. We haven't done it all. I guarantee you that we didn't sit through a depression like our forefathers did.
No.
I mean, these were people that struggled.
Yeah.
Soup lines and everything else. I mean, we had it.
Yeah, they didn't know where their next meal was going to come from.
We had it pretty darn good.
We did.
We didn't have it the best, but we had it pretty good. You have a family of 5, a family of 6, a family of 3, whatever. But you got one parent working, and sometimes you ate soup and crackers for dinner. Yeah. You couldn't put a T-bone on the plate every night if you wanted to.
Spam was a big thing. But it's still encouraging that, some of the young people, are sensitized to this and are aware of it and kind of as a pushback to some of the other people who always seem to have the mic. So yeah. I thought this was nice to see and behold.
Yeah, that's really that's a great piece. And if you want you want some great reading, some really good stuff, seriously, Google Walter E. Williams and look at some of the takes he's got on a lot of different subjects. He's got a lot of books out there. He's very, very he's a great writer and very insightful. He's more of a libertarian than I would say, a conservative, but he has a phenomenal grasp of the economy, how it works, how it gets better, how it gets worse. So if you want some great insightful times, go look up Walter E. Williams and And that half hour went pretty darn fast.
Thomas Sowell's another good one. Again, an economist of his age group who has written a lot of books on economics and things like that, but very dialed into the racial situation.
This is what, yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Walter's very, very dialed in on race relations, and he grew up in Philly, went out to the West Coast, and then he went into the military, and he was almost court-martialed because of his stand that he took on the racial inequality in the military.
Oh,
and
good for him.
he was a big-time pioneer in racial equality in the military, and we all know the history on that, and if you don't, look it up. But we can't bring you everything, folks.
Yeah,
You got to do
this is
something
just a
on your
snippet.
own. Anyway, that half hour went pretty quickly. We're glad to be here. Veteran News, we're sitting in for Brian this morning. We got a half hour to go. We're gonna in the last half hour. We're just gonna kind of do a little potpourri. What do you think?
Tidbits. Let's go
tidbits. Tidbits. Jump around the block a little bit. We'll have some fun. We'll have some laughs. We'll talk maybe I don't know if we'll get into sports or not, but we'll do the best we can in the last half hour. So anyway, Josh, take us to break. Let's look at some of the people that make this show possible. Thanks.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ella, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Alrighty, we're gonna take her home from here, aren't we?
Well, Rudy, we
Yes,
are.
sir. 9:37 here in Ellijay, 76 degrees. Going to be a hot weekend. You're the weather expert. What are we doing this weekend on weather?
We're going to have rain.
We are.
Yeah.
How about tomorrow? Are we going to be okay at Sycamore?
We should be okay in the morning.
Okay. But coming in?
I swear.
All right. Yeah. Okay. We're going to leave the weather. We're going to leave the decision as to where we meet tomorrow to Josh. He'll take a look at the weather for us. He's the man in the control room, and we appreciate him a lot. He makes it look seamless. We just sit back here and babble, but he's the one at the controls. He brings it to you every morning. He gets in here at the crack of dawn, and he even makes Brian look good. That's tough duty.
And he's
every
on
day.
the same 13th floor as us in the
That's
high
right.
rise in Ellijay.
Anyway, we're going to keep it light in the last half hour, the last 20 minutes, I guess, 9:38 already. And, just kind of pop around and look at some of the stuff going on around the country, around the world. What do you got first?
Let's do zingers.
We'll go
Yeah.
back and forth.
St. Louis Park, Minnesota.
Woo-hoo!
The city council that said they were going to stop the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag.
Yeah, and justice for all. Well, they've reversed that. They voted unanimously to do it, and they got so much blowback that they voted unanimously to bring it back. So the Pledge of Allegiance is back in St. Louis Park, Minnesota.
A lot of public outcry on that one. A lot of
Indeed.
veterans groups rallying and
Yeah, just
people
citizens.
wearing their
Just constituents, you
Yeah.
know, saying, this is crazy. I mean,
stupid stuff.
yeah.
Saw this morning that the Crystal Cathedral,
Ooh,
Garden Grove, California.
Robert Schuller.
Yeah, Robert Schuller's old stomping grounds. He passed away, and upon his passing, apparently it fell into disrepair, and the money stopped coming in. So who bought it? To the rescue, the Catholic Church.
All right.
Paid $60 million for the Crystal Cathedral.
Money to spend.
Money to spend. Yeah, exactly. They spent $72 million, folks, on renovating the Crystal Cathedral, and they want to make it the iconic showplace of the West Coast for the Catholic Church. A lot of dough.
You
Lot
can't
of
make
dough.
this up.
Yep.
You just can't make it up.
What else you got, Bob?
We talked a little bit on the show, maybe 6 weeks ago, about with all the rain that has hit the center of the country, that farming is very, very much under the gun in terms of getting crops in the field. And I was talking with a lady yesterday from Chicago who drove from Memphis down to Louisiana, and she said there's places in Mississippi and Louisiana that the water was just puddled in the field. So we said at the time 6 weeks ago, shortages in wheat, corn, and
Cotton. How about cotton?
affiliated products. And also, I just read another article that 3 building blocks of our modern society, helium, sand, and phosphorus, are all in short supply, and that affects concrete, that affects metal, that affects fertilizer. So
Party balloons with the helium.
Yeah. You can talk funny too. Yeah, so just to be aware, there's some shortages coming in various things, and it won't be necessarily in these base things. It could be affiliated food products. So
No avocado shortage as of now, though, right?
no, and the tortillas are back in Taco Bell. So,
Okay, good. We got that.
Yeah.
We got that squared away. Anybody who didn't see it last night ought to check out a clip of the 5. Every once in a while, they have a special guest that comes in on the 5 and does a small segment with them. Dr. Drew came in.
Pinsky.
What's that?
Pinsky, right? Dr. Drew Pinsky?
Yeah, he does a radio show out based on the West Coast.
Oh.
And he has been espousing for the longest time that the homelessness in Los Angeles and San Francisco will produce enough rats to cause typhoid.
Hey.
How shameless is that on the... I guess maybe that's why they're trying to recall the mayor in L.A.
Well, yeah, good luck with that.
But
with rats come fleas. With fleas come other diseases.
Exactly. He said, how many people have to die before we do something about it. And in his own inimitable fashion, our favorite Jamaican, Juan Williams, he said, well, you know what? It's all being contrived by Orkin. What? Oh, yeah.
Where did you get that?
It's just, you know, I think his whole charge on that show is
You sure it wasn't Terminex?
Yeah, is to make sure that he comes up with something
Totally inane.
totally, well, not necessarily only inane, but, you know, in total contradiction to what the other side is saying. You know, he's a token liberal. Okay, I get it. And that's what makes for good talk show banter. But to just throw out something like, it's all being contrived by Orkin, was just such, and now let me tell you, if you're on Twitter, the Twitter feeds just lit up. I mean, they were on fire with those comments.
Oh boy,
He really took a blistering.
I can imagine. I mean, it's almost like if you could, like, you know, think of something that's causing all the immigrants to come here and like put that label on it and say, okay, it's all contrived by fill in the blank.
Well, yeah, but the isn't there a whole new outbreak of Ebola?
Yes. You know, some guy who had Ebola got on a bus and I think it was
Get on the bus, Gus.
Nigeria. No, Democratic Republic of Congo,
Yep.
DRC.
Yeah.
Got on a bus, drove, you know, hundreds of kilometers with all these people on the bus to Goma, which is a hub in DRC, a city of 2 million people. And now he's exposed umpteen known numbers of people to Ebola. So good luck with that. The Democratic Republic of Congo keeping it controlled.
Keeping it in your own borders, okay?
No.
Wait, do they have borders? I'm sure they
They
do.
have borders, but
Yeah.
they're regularly, you know, just ignored.
That's why they have borders, because that's why they're a country, because they actually do have borders, huh?
Well, speaking of borders and
What a
asylum
concept.
law,
There you go.
I got something from the Department of Justice. We've talked about all these people seeking asylum. There are 5 basis reasons to claim asylum in the U.S.
Now, that's what the majority of the Democrats are saying. These are peace-loving people that are doing nothing but seeking asylum, right?
Seeking
From the
asylum
5?
from or because. No, but the reasons you can get into the U.S. are race, religion, nationality, political opinion, and here comes the tough one: membership in a particular social group that government in your home country views as a threat. Well, this has proven to be the most difficult to deal with because this covers ethnic groups, educated elite who are suddenly on the outs, family members of dissidents, occupational groups, homosexuals, and former members of the police or military. Okay? Now, our former president, Barack Hussein Obama, back in 2014, said this at a meeting talking about immigration. Refugee status is not granted just based on economic need or because a family lives in a bad neighborhood or poverty. It's typically defined very narrowly, such as political activists and need to get out of the country for fear of prosecution of death. It's very clear that asylum law now in the U.S. has been, you know, perverted. Basically, he also went on to say that general civil strife, bad economic conditions, private acts of violence, interpersonal disputes, private criminal activity, that sort of thing, are not the basis for asylum. That's what everybody's coming here for. They're not having a good go of it in their home country. You know, there's a little bit of agitation. Here they come. And they're getting in. Excuse me.
And the ICE raids that were conducted last weekend, those ICE raids, folks, are a result of a court mandated edict that said you have to go back.
These people had been here. They've gone through the court system. They had numerous court appearances, all paid for by you and me.
Yes.
You know, over years. I mean, it's not like these guys came last year. They've been here for, you know, years and years. And the judge has said, you have no basis for asylum, go home.
Already been adjudicated. These aren't people that are just subjectively being thrown out. These are the dregs that have either shown up for their court case and been told that they don't qualify, or those that never showed up for their court case.
Or, in addition, they've had criminal acts committed here, or criminal acts that followed them from their home country, and that's a basis for rejection. But they've been here years and years, and what the left is going to pick on is that they have families and all that. So the husband, the breadwinner, whatever, is the one who's going to be shipped home, and then you're breaking up families. Oh, the worst thing in the world.
Some of the stuff that doesn't get reported are the illegals that are showing up at the border, and they've had stories about reporters saying, well, why'd you leave? Well, I was wanted for murder.
Yeah.
So I left my own country because I was going to be jailed.
Yeah.
If I was Guatemala or Honduras, I did say, get the riffraff out of here.
Yeah. In a way, it's working well for them.
Yeah, exactly.
They're cleaning up and shrinking the workforce, so the people there have more opportunities for jobs.
But once again, if it doesn't affect me, and I'm a liberal, I'm going to say, oh my gosh, you're ripping the children out of the arms. You're keeping these children in cages. The women have to drink out of toilets. Get out. Anyway.
Yeah, and this is the same group of people who don't even acknowledge that infants in the womb are children, which they are. It's just that the ones that they worry about now have a name, and they have cute little faces and things like that, and it's just an unfortunate hypocritical situation.
We use that word way too often, out of necessity, because that's the only way you can describe it. Is hypocrisy. Say one thing, do another. Cognitive dissonance. Call it whatever you want, but it's just wrong.
Selective reasoning. Yeah. Whatever.
Selective reasoning.
Yep.
How about speaking of abortion? How about the poor little Planned Parenthood president? Was she in office for 9 months?
Yeah. She got whacked out.
She was Was she an Asian female doctor?
Yes.
Is that correct?
You nailed it. Yes.
Asian female doctor who was, I believe her specialty was obstetrics and gynecology.
Mm-hmm.
She was thrown out because why? She wouldn't acknowledge the transgender language. She refused to acknowledge that a transgender person who was genetically a male didn't qualify for an abortion.
The DNA don't lie, folks.
Is that not just the most unbelievable
eating their own
set of circumstances you've ever heard?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you think she's going to rethink her position on abortion? Maybe. Just maybe.
Jeez. Unbelievable.
But
anyway, she's gone.
Yeah, but I mean, that is another point that I had here.
Yeah,
that a number of the U.S. Organizations, the AMA, the Psychological Society, all these groups that represent blocks of the medical community, are swinging more and more to support of abortion. Whether they feel a reason to do so for PR or their members are agitating for it. It's very, very disgusting to see this shift. I mean, they should be neutral in these things. It's just very, very sad to see some of these major organizations do this, and I think it will certainly lose them a lot of support, publicly and financially.
You think, financially. You think they're doing it for financial reasons? You think that maybe they're afraid that maybe some grant money's going to get cut off?
One would hope, but again, they have a lot of deep-pocketed donors, like a guy like Soros or Steyer or some of them, who are great believers in keeping the number of people limited.
Yeah. What else you got? You got anything else on there?
I got earthquakes. People probably aren't aware of this. There's been, some earthquakes. The California earthquakes about 3 weeks back.
7.1, right?
It was the biggest. Yeah, Ridgecrest just had another one. I think it was like 5 or 4.6, something like that. The place that had the ones 3 weeks ago. But there's also been a very big quake in Indonesia. There's been
a lot of people killed.
Yeah, a smaller quake in Japan. So the whole ring of fire, which basically goes down the west coast of the U.S. into South America, goes up through Alaska, Russia, Japan, Indonesia, down through the islands in the Pacific. has been very active. And what some seismologists have said that the amount of major quakes this year is 3 times what they have ever seen in about the last 200 years, or as long as records have been kept. So they're very worried about this number of activity and the strength and magnitude of some of these earthquakes. There is a group of people who are very concerned about Yellowstone National Park, which basically sits in the crater of an old volcano that blew up a long time ago. And they're seeing very unexplained and unusual geyser activity. Some of the geysers that typically would pop off maybe once a year, they're going like every 3 days. So for all you people who worry about this sort of thing, you have more to worry about.
More to worry. Just another thing to worry about, Bill.
Yeah, there you
the
go.
Plates, they are a-shifting, okay?
The plates are moving.
The plates are moving.
And I'm waiting for like some congressperson to say, well, why don't we just get some oil and like lubricate those plates?
Yeah. Well, you know what? That'd probably be Hank Johnson, our brainchild from Georgia, who thought that an island was going to tip over because there were too many Army people on the edge of the island.
Guam.
It may
Protectorate.
tip.
Yeah, it may
That
tip over.
you want to have some fun. You want to have a lot of good laughs. Go look at YouTube on Hank Johnson's gaffes, and they are many. Let me tell you, and the one's funnier than the next. You can't believe someone would espouse that's been elected to public office. Well, yeah, you can. Anyway, the good news is, speaking of natural catastrophes, the good news is out of Katrina came a lot of control methods that were put into a place that's near and dear to your heart, and that's southern Louisiana, down there in Nolens. Nolens. They put the pumps in place, right?
Well, they had pumps before. They finally got them all working.
Yeah. Again, infrastructure. Jeez, what a concept.
But a number of the levees that were overtopped in Katrina, they've built them up higher, stronger. I mean, they had some pretty, lousy levees down there. But, still, it's a man-made system, and, you get a big one, there still could be issues.
But thankfully,
this held. And
it wasn't nearly as bad. Granted, a lot of rainfall, a lot of flooding. People are still drying out, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been.
Right. But the Mississippi River.
Not when old Ray Nagin was in charge.
Oh boy,
wasn't that him?
Chocolate City. Yeah. Chocolate City.
Where are the buses, Ray?
Yeah.
They could be underwater, I think.
That was very unfortunate. Ray ended up doing some prison time for other things, but that's another story. But the Mississippi River at Baton Rouge has been in flood stage for 190 days.
Woo!
Which is already a record. And they're saying with this rain that's coming from Berry going up the Mississippi Valley, and even into the Ohio River Valley, they said it could well be at flood stage through the end of August into September.
Wow.
Which would be just unbelievable.
Well, it's all a result of a late winter, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it is.
Yeah.
That and some, well, you can't anticipate weather. It's going to happen.
It's climate change.
Climate change.
The end is near.
Yeah. Seed the clouds. What are those contrails up there? Is that the government acting on...
What is that? Aluminum hydrate? Aluminum foil?
Aluminum foil. Oh, good night. Well, if it's going to rain this weekend, you got one alternative that could be fun for a lot of you golf aficionados, and that is what they now call the Open. Will take place, another cog in the wheel of major championships.
British Open?
I was wondering, maybe Josh knows, when did they just decide that it was going to be called the Open instead of the British Open? Yeah, and all of a sudden it just became, it was like...
I still see a lot of
Does it have anything to do with Brexit?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe they exited out. Maybe they don't say the British Open because sometimes it's maybe held in, I don't know, Ireland, Wales. I don't know.
It's in Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland.
Whatever.
Yeah, we got any interest in watching that, Josh? Any favorites on the horizon?
It's Graham McDowell's home course, so I think he's going to
couple local boys,
there.
right?
I've been keeping up with it all morning.
Who is that?
Graham McDowell.
Oh, Graham McDowell.
Yep, it's his home course, and it's Rory McIlroy's home course.
You know, I think he uses
McIlroy, too.
I think he uses Mizuno irons. That old Graham guy.
He might.
He might. The other guy to look for, I believe, is Adam Scott. Adam
I
Scott.
liked him, but he started out
You're
rough.
not Brooks?
He did start out rough.
Yeah, I think he's already 3 or 4 over.
Oh boy,
Well, you hear Rory? He had a
A quad on the
quadruple
first hole.
bogey on the first hole.
did he really?
Yeah, yeah.
I tell you, you know, have you ever
That's the
played
shakes.
one of those courses,
Uh-huh.
Josh, where you know there's nothing but weeds and sand traps?
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
And a strong ocean breeze.
And a strong ocean breeze, yeah, and a lot of rain and a lot of wind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
Rory set the course record there at 16 years old with a 62. It's his home course, so everybody thought he was going to win it, but he had that quadruple bogey.
Wow.
I mean, he can bounce back though.
Yeah. The other thing that just happened, epic tennis match. Wimbledon, if you didn't catch it, I mean, you know, I watched it here and there. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was Djokovic versus Federer, probably two of the, if not the 2 top players, at least 2 of the 3 top players. Nadal got beat by Federer in another epic match, but they went to a 5-set tiebreaker after the new rules that were put in place when the guy from Georgia, what's his name, Iger or something like that, the tennis player. Anyway, he did like a 25-game tiebreak marathon because in Wimbledon rules, if you go 5 sets, you don't play a tiebreaker. You just keep playing and you have to win by 2. Well, he went to like 25 games, and they said, enough of that. If you get to 12 games without a winner by 2, then you go to a 12-point tiebreaker. And Federer just has not been very good on tiebreakers. Djokovic beat him. It was a great, great match. Kudos to those guys who really, really are. John Isner, that's it. Thank you.
Does that go back to the days of you know, the epic matches with Jimmy Connors, McEnroe?
Oh yeah, I mean those were
Boris
Borg.
Becker.
Borg and McEnroe had some epic matches.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean they were phenomenal. It was a different type of game then. I mean, if you go back and you look at the smaller rackets, it was more finesse. These guys are just wham, just you know
Power
baseline to
game.
baseline, power. Not a lot of chip and run and you know running to the net on every point, even though there's a lot of that. Anyway, I digress. Tennis, great game to watch. Golf, be fun over the weekend if it's pouring rain and you got nothing to do and you're not a NASCAR fan. Go watch the Open.
And I guess it's about time for us to power out of here.
Yeah, we need to power out of here. I need to power toward Atlanta. I've got a meeting down there. So hopefully my wife is waiting for me in the parking lot. Bruce, thanks for bringing me in this morning.
You're welcome.
Thanks for sharing the 2 hours with me.
Hey.
It's always fun to be here. Don't forget tomorrow, Sycamore Crossing, the All-Star panel. Jane will be with us, and we will join Lauren